Running YouTube, jazz bass. As you may know if you've watched this channel, to fund my guitar habit, I've been buying up lots of guitars and basses, and broken ones, ones with bits missing and unloved ones, and fixing them up and selling them, or fixing them up, putting lots of pickups and stuff in them and doing them up and bolting them together and selling them to fund the guitars I want to keep myself. So this is a Gould jazz bass, made in China. Says it's got a made in China sticker in the back, and I believe the inspection sticker looks like it says it's from 2003, which I would think would be about right. Just going by the amount of dirt that was on it when I got it. I cleaned it up now. Like when you buy these cheap ones off Gumtree, if you don't know what you're doing, you might be really lucky and pick up like a really good bass for not a lot. But I mean, all of them need something done to them. As soon as they start becoming less than 50 quid, you just go, it's not going to work, and it didn't. The neck needed a lot of adjustment. Two E strings on it, so you couldn't tune it. The strings were ancient. All these things, but what I've done, after a wee bit of a clean and a bit of a messing about with it, it's totally fine. It's great. Very minimal marks on it anyway. There's a few wee scrapes and dinks, but nothing through the clear coats. It still looks pretty damn good. It's got tortoiseshell lava scratch plate. Jazz bass pickups, volume, tone, output. Boring bridge, just standard bridge. It's got the big elephant ear tuners on it. All these things all work and adjust perfectly. I give them a bit of a clean, got a bit of the silvo on them. So neck pickup, jazz bass, two pickups. Neck pickups and bridge pickups. Both on. Then if you turn one of them down a bit, you get a sort of P-bass sound. So I really didn't do very much to this. It was going to get, I was going to put more pickups in it because I quite like doing that with guitars. It's quite funny. But if it's not, it ain't broke, don't fix it, because it's just like it is. It's a jazz bass. I think it was the second ever bass designed. The P bass, which is probably my favourite type of bass, was the first one they ever made. Same, it's got this sort of Telecaster vibe where it was the first attempt anyone had ever had of making a bass, and it just worked. Whereas the jazz bass is a little bit more, it's like the Stratocaster, it's a little bit more fancy. Now having two pickups, which gives you more sounds, I suppose. But for me, I quite like the fact that P-bass has just got a volume. I don't use an awful lot of bass sounds, but then again I don't play slap or very many different styles. But the trick in that's where the secret of a jazz bass lies though, because you get a lot of variation, like between 8 and 10. If you've got both of them on at full, you get the neck one on at full, and you lower that one down between sort of 10 and 8. There's a lot of tone variations in there. Yeah, so there's not really much more to say about the jazz bass. Apart from this is a good solid jazz bass, which would do a beginner, but I mean it doesn't need to be. You could do it. You get away with gigging with this, no problem. I think it's just one of those things that's going to fit into any band really, being a jazz bass. I think you get there's some guitars that kind of just do the job. I always felt that with my SG. I always thought my SG was great because you could play. You could play the Beatles on it because he used one for paperback writer, or you could play Sabbath on it because that's what he used, or you could play death metal or pretty much anything because SG was kind of like that. Jazz bass kind of fits into that category. Quite a lot of the guitars I've got, you just pure, probably more by look than by what sounds you can actually make. It's, I mean, who stretches that lead? A guitar, like for example, this one's just sitting out here like that. You look at that, and you just go, oh, it's for 80s rock. It's like you can't really imagine playing the Shadows or the Beach Boys on that. Still does it, obviously, because technically it's still a very good guitar, but you kind of limit what your output, whereas this is just for anything. I don't think there's anybody that never used one. I've already mentioned the fact that jazz bass necks taper a little bit, so they're a wee bit thinner here than they are than some basses. So it's actually a very, very thin nut on it. I've actually measured it before, and it's not really that thin. I think a P bass is 42mm, and it's 40mm. So it's totally hardly any difference, but you do feel it. So a good solid bass. I'm just going to sell it on, try and fund some of the more crazy guitars I've been buying. I keep buying guitars that nobody else wants. Ones that are really shit hot and they were £1,000 in the 80s, but because they're so hideously ugly and horrible looking, people don't want them. It's like, I love them. I'm playing through a wee 60-watt bass amp. If you want to hear this, you might not hear very much of the bass playing. If you go down here and change the quality up to 720 point, there's a massive upgrade in the sound quality. So you might find you will actually hear the bass amp. So that goes with all my videos. They sound terrible if you listen to them in like 360. Once you go up, and obviously if you listen to them on a stereo, you should be able to hear what it sounds like. But good solid bass. Also got a wee amp there I could possibly do a deal with if someone was interested in buying this. Yeah, so I don't want to say it's boring. It's just not really my thing. Playing wise, it's totally great. I have absolutely no problem using this if I didn't have a bass. I've got about 10 though. In fact, I'd probably get more than 10. And if it was neon pink with tiger stripes on it, or 25 pickups, it would maybe do. If it did that, it would totally ruin the value of it. And as it stands, it's one of those things that it's going to be completely timeless. In 20 years' time, 30 years' time, 40 years' time, this is still going to be going, and it's going to be worth more money then because it's got a rosewood fretboard, and you're not allowed to export rosewood anymore because it's now endangered. So rosewood boards are a thing of the past. Apart from if it's a really a custom shop. I think Fender just announced that it's going to be £1,000 for the cheapest guitar with a rosewood fretboard. They're using some other kind of wood. So, no dead frets, completely silent volume controls, silent as in they don't crackle, very good condition. The guy I bought this off said he paid over 200 quid for it, which I kind of believe. I think people generally tend to exaggerate a bit, but I think I kind of believe this was a £200 bass about 10-15 years ago, quite easily. The problem with all these things is if you go into a shop, and I don't think anyone does anymore, and try out basses, the guy who went in to try this probably tried out a few, and he'll have tried out the Squire ones, or whatever the equivalent was, and this would have been a better bass. But because the Squire one says Fender on it, it's probably worth more money now, even though it's not as good as what this is. Because there's a certain element of brands like Fender, Squire and Epiphone, they've got to intentionally make their guitars a bit shit so that they don't compete too well with their expensive line. I think they're not going to make a Squire Telly amazing in case you go, oh, there's a Squire Telly for 200 quid, that's really good, and then play it, and then you go, I'll try the £400 Mexican one. oh, it's kind of the same. I'll just buy the Squire. So they intentionally put bad pickups in them and make them a bit crap, whereas these companies don't. I'd imagine this you could probably buy this made by different brands. I don't actually see any gould. I've seen a few gould Stratocasters kicking about, but I think they're quite cheap. Probably they might not be very good. I don't know. I mean, it's just a brand. You know, they've just been bought from some factory in China. So I can tell you what this one is. Great, plays really well. Will do anyone perfectly better, and you're not going to get a better bass than this for under 200 quid new anyway. Definitely. There's a wee bit of buckle rash in the back here. Not through the surface, but you can't even see it, I don't think, and you won't be able to see it. So, jazz, even though I can't play jazz. It's a very big bass. I think that's more jazz basses in general rather than just this one. It just seems huge. Seems an awful lot bigger than a P bass. I don't know if it is. I mean, it's probably maybe an inch here or an inch there bigger than a P bass. Not lengthwise. It's the same scale, but the body just it seems huge, which I think is part of its charm. So punk, no problem. Heavy metal, no problem. Jazz, I suppose. Anything, rock on.